Welcome to Soto Creations, where we make your imagination a reality. Today we're going to be creating this beautiful black velvet bow. I've been planning to do this for some time now, had the vision, and I'm so glad I could bring it to life and share it with you guys. If this is your first time tuning in, we started this bow season last week or a couple of weeks ago, and we're continuing. So I have different designs coming up, planning to do a satin or a white balloon bow with some pearls on that, just to create kind of an elevated wedding type feel. But today we're going to be creating this beautiful black velvet bow. Of course, you can hang on different backdrops, create different designs with it. Again, if this is your first time, please consider clicking the subscribe button on this channel. We show you how we decorate for various events, and we have an event center, so we show you how we set up for events here as well, and how we provide different tips for the venue. So more content on that to come. I'm still working on it, but for now I want to show you these balloons, thinking of this design. So don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any videos when we post it. Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for all your support. Let's get on with the tutorial. I'm starting with this 1-inch foam from Walmart that I bought. I was contemplating what type of foam to buy, and this one worked out really well. So I'm unraveling to see the length, to see if I need to cut it or what exactly I need to do. So you can see me kind of estimating the bow here so I can figure out what to do. I decide to use the full length to create the actual bow. I'm going halfway. This doesn't really matter because we're going to cover this with fabric anyway. So I have my fabric here. This, I'm calling it a velvet fabric. Later on, I'll give you a more detailed description of the fabric when I buy more of it to finish off this design we're creating. Right now, I'm just spreading everything out to make sure that I have enough fabric to cover this, depending on the length and how exactly I need to do it. So we're straightening everything out. I noticed this length works really well, especially being able to fold it over, because I want the fabric to overlap, so it's nice. The foam is really covered on the bow. So now I'm adjusting the fabric. You can see the length at the front is not even, but I'll make that adjustment when I have everything to where I want it. I'm just adjusting again. I keep saying adjusting, but I want the fabric to overlap on itself, but not on the very edge. It ends up being on the edge, but it worked out fine. So as long as you have this covered and you know which side is the back or the inner part of the bow, you're gonna be okay. And you don't want the bow to overlap on the very corner. I'm adjusting it here so it's straight at the front. Once I get it aligned again, then I'm gonna be able to fold over and start working on it that way. So right now I'm folding over. I get distracted quite a bit when I'm at the venue because we're preparing for a quinceañera. So we have Jenny working on some things on the side. My dad is also present at the furniture store, and Richard is also working at the furniture store. So first layer of my glue, I'm putting that on the very edge there, getting that down. So the glue gun worked well at the beginning, but I think the cord got disconnected, so it ended up not working well. You see that part here shortly. I like to be very transparent with how I'm showing you all these designs. So I struggle with it, and I keep telling Jenny there that I think not right here, but at some point that I think I'm gonna have to buy another glue gun when I go to Walmart to buy more fabric. So I'm gluing the edge right there. Make sure when you glue, you press down immediately so that you can secure your fabric in place. If you let it stay too long, it could dry and it won't glue it well. What I'm trying to do here is to make sure that the fabric that's on the opposite side, the part that's touching the table, is really close enough to the foam so that it's firm. When I start folding the bow, it's not gonna get wrinkled and look funny. So we're putting the glue on this side, this is where my glue gun starts acting up. I'm pressing, it's hard to press to get it through, so I think the glue is because the glue is finishing and it doesn't have more to push it through. But again, it's still not working well. I'm squeezing and I notice it's drying up. That's me pulling a piece of the glue off, so I'm getting the rest off. Pretty much didn't stick to the foam, nothing. So taking a break, trying to figure out what is going on, and I'm folding that over now to see how far. This is when I realized it's not actually straight, but it was okay because it didn't overlap past that edge on the very right side there. So I'm fixing or trying to fix the glue gun. It works here, so I'm able to get that glue on the very edge all the way through. It was still a little hard, but I was putting a little bit at a time and just gluing it down so that it doesn't have time to dry right on the very edge, because you want it to stay in place, like I said. So keep gluing through. Once you're done, then we'll be able to cut the rest. Richard is asking what I'm making, checking again. He's trying to figure out what we're doing. He thought this was for the quinceañera, but again, trying to get some videos recorded for you guys, as well as prepping for other events that are taking place at the venue. That part is done. Now on this edge, I'm just going to glue that down. I'm gluing not on the tip, so I'm not closing where the foam is. I'm actually putting it at the top to glue the edge of the fabric on the top. Same thing, we'll do that on the other side, but first we need to cut our excess fabric. So I'm going to cut that through, then we'll work on gluing the other piece. This fabric wasn't bad to work with. You just need sharp scissors. I struggled here a little bit, but got it through. That piece is what I'm going to use later on for the part that hangs on the bow. So I just put that aside. I'll show you that. End up using the whole thing for one piece. Now we're gluing the very top like we did on the opposite side, but I decide to also flip it over and glue the other back part. See how the fabric was still moving there? So I want to straighten everything up and then glue that back piece. I'm pressing down so it glues it well. Again, straightening that top part so that it's firm. Then we're going to glue the other side right there. At this point, my gun is working better, so I'm able to just put that all the way through and press down. Now back to the back side of it. We're folding everything in. This is the part that starts creating the bow. So I want to find the center piece of my bow. So I fold it in half, find the edge of that foam. Then I'm able to find that half point, then fold it to the middle. So now we're in the middle. We're just going to put some glue right there and glue it down. So next section, I'm doing section at a time here. Next piece, put enough glue so that everything sticks well. So there you go, we're halfway. Then we're going to put the other half. Now, I'm not overlapping this piece because I do want space to be able to squeeze that bow together. I'm measuring to make sure I have the right amount on each side, or the right size on each side, so the bow is even. Since we have these pieces hanging, what I decide to do is just tuck those ends in, like how you're wrapping a gift, so the edges don't stick out whenever we have the bow, because that's the edge of the bow at the top and the bottom. So I'm folding that piece in. Then we are going to glue that right next to each other. I've actually fold the other one as well. So you just put enough glue there. You can see me being very generous with the glue. Once you have that on, fold it and press down till it dries, so or cools. When it cools, then it'll stick together. So we're pretty much done. This is a fairly fast process. The thing I realized, one, we need more foam to create the middle part of the bow. Second of all, we don't have enough zip ties, so and we need fabric. So I'm gonna have to go to Walmart to get all that. I'm just testing the bow out to see how I'm gonna fold everything in and how it's gonna look. But let's go to Walmart, then we'll be back. Okay, I'm back to finish this bow. Something so simple, yet it's gonna take me all day. I went to Walmart. I got the fabric. They were not selling by the yard. They just had this. So that's what I bought. Let me turn it so you can see the label. This is what I bought for this because I really want that rich feel to the fabric. So I got this heavier. It is the crushed velour fabric, and this is 1.5 yards. Hopefully this is enough to make the middle piece and also the pieces that are gonna hang down. This is the rest of what I have left. I'm gonna use this for the pieces that hang down. So I'll cut a second one like this. Then I bought some of the foam, but instead of buying the whole roll, I bought squares, and I'm gonna use this. It's also 1 inch, so let me show you but it's pre-cut. So I bought this, I think this was about $12. So I'm gonna use this to cut the piece that's gonna go around the bow. But let's finish putting this together. We also have the zip ties. These are 14 inches. And I got black, so it'll cover this up. So I was gonna get a bigger pack because I use these quite a bit for things around the venue, but someone cut a slit in it. I don't know if they cut it and just pulled some out or what, but I got this smaller pack. So I'll have to go to another Walmart to get a bigger pack. I will need white for my other bow because I plan to do a pearl bow. So a white satin bow with some pearls on it. So we'll do that in another video, but let's finish this one. Now, when you're making this, you want the ends to fold in like this. You don't want it to fold out. So the 2 ends have to fold inward, then you just fold the rest however you like. So I'm gonna see how many it'll give me to do kind of a zigzag fold here to gather everything together. The more folds you have, the more elegant your bow is gonna look. So we're just going off the center. And our first tie is just to secure where our hands cannot reach. So I'm just gonna thread that through and start tightening. So it's a little tighter, but I want to turn it just so I can make sure the pleats show here, because my goal is to have enough, and this part has to go back and this part back. So that's how we want it. The issue now is the middle part, so I'm just trying to fold and fold again and squeeze right there. So then I can tighten it more. And I actually didn't need 2 zip ties because that's about as tight as it's getting right here. I do want this piece to come out as well, so you can adjust your bow when you open it up. I think I'm gonna go, that's that. You open the ends here, that fluffs it up. This is the back. You can see here, we tuck that in. This is a little looser because I have no foam here. So we'll set this aside and we're gonna make our middle piece. But first we need to cut our other strand. So this is the 1.5 yard that I got from Walmart. The other fabric was 3 yards, so you can estimate how much you need from there. You can also create the bow without the pieces that hang down, but for the velvet fabric, I just thought it would be best to have the pieces that hang down. So if people want to create that soup, they can. I'm also going to design a different bow that is sturdier, so the hanging pieces are going to be firm, so it'll just stick out right out, and you don't have to use pins to pin it in place or drape it a certain way. I just wanted this because of the type of fabric, which is this one is easier to drape, so that's what I'm doing. I laid the piece I already had, the extra from the 3 yards, over this one, and I'm just cutting a second piece to be the second tail of my bow. So again, the scissors here were a little hard to work with, but I was rushing to get through everything and I didn't get another one. The fabric is pretty forgiving. So we have our two pieces there. Then this little piece that is left, we're going to cut our foam to create the middle part of the fabric. I'm estimating here how much of the foam I'll need. So I'm going to just cut that piece by using a ruler to just measure through, and then we'll cut what we need. But when you're cutting this, I just kind of eyeballed it because I figured that we'll just have to squeeze it. But my thought was I don't want it a rectangle, because the rectangle will be harder to attach to the back piece. So I'm gonna first cut a rectangle, then I'll taper the ends as we go. So I'm just using my ruler so that I make it straight. Now I look at it again and I realize it should be a little wider, but I don't want to make another line, so I decide to cut where I'm a little off the line to make it just a little bit wider, and that's what you see right there. Once that is done, I fold it in half, then taper the ends in. This is going to be the part that connects in the back. Once that is done, then we're going to use our fabric now to wrap up this piece. So I'm going to take that piece there, and the end of the fabric there works really well. So we can just use that. I'm adjusting it to see where the end is so it'll fold over, because we don't want to see any of the foam. So now with these scissors I'm cutting again, I just got over the scissors. So I got some better scissors to cut, and this cuts so smooth. So now we can glue that piece to the bottom. So that last piece is the little piece that was left of all the fabric. So now we're putting the glue, just secure that there. Since it tapers in, you're just going to wrap it like you wrap a gift, so the fabric is going to be close enough to the foam. Continue to wrap. See how I angle the fabric there? You can put it on that edge, put it down, and you could glue that other top piece if you like. But this should cover the back part. The main thing is to get the back part nice and smooth, or I would say, I guess, the front part nice and smooth. This is the back part. So needed more fabric there. I could have moved it over a little, but I wasn't really measuring. So there you have it, all done with this piece. Now onto our bow. Once all the pieces are glued and you tuck all that in, then we're going to get our bow and estimate how we'll put that on there. Now remember, I had 2 zip ties here. After I pulled it, we didn't need 2 zip ties, so I decided to get 1 zip tie. Now that we have the bow in place, I'm just going to cut off the excess from that initial one, but then I'll get 1 zip tie so I can tighten it just a little bit more. But before we do that, let's estimate how our bow looks with this. You can also cut that other piece, center piece, a little longer, so you can just tie that if you want with your bow tails, but it's up to you. So right now I'm attaching the single zip tie, cutting off the one that was there before so that we can tighten it even more. So you see me tighten the bow there, get it nice and tight. Then we have this piece. I'm attaching this here with some glue. So just putting that in the middle, putting my glue. Actually get burnt here. I put my glue, squeeze it through that part there on the side. Then we're going to flip it and attach the bow. I don't know if this recorded or not. Let me just explain this, because the back I didn't. Oh my goodness. I apologize. So what I did with these ends right here. So I had these two that are the same. So what I did is I took one end. These are already pretty much completed. They're not going to come apart. So what I did was, I'm explaining on the tip what I did with the opposite end. So I just folded it back and forth like this, kind of a zigzag. like this, till I got to the end. Then I zip tied this. You can see, of course, this is the back and this is the front. So you want to make sure once you do that, we're going to lay it down with this is the back of the bow. So you lay that down with this zip tied. You repeat the same thing on the other side with those two. I take a zip tie through this one, loop it through the zip tie that's holding this piece, and then loop it through this zip tie and zip tie it together. This is the loop that it creates. So I'm leaving this loop so I can use this to hang the bow. I hope that makes sense. I really apologize. I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. So it's hard to see it now because it's, well, let me do a close-up. Maybe you can understand what I'm showing. So I have this part zip tied. You can see the zigzag. The second part zip tied here. Luckily we have the white, and you can see that this piece here is going through this one and also through this one. So that holds the whole bow together. Now let's work on a design to put this bow on it so that at least we have one method of how you can use the bow. I'm going to use the backdrop from Morsika. These are the cherry backdrops with the covers that they sent me in the past. I think you guys have seen this before. If you haven't, these are really easy to assemble. They take less than 5 minutes because that arch is pretty much connected. You don't have to figure out the pieces. Every end is numbered, so you just put those pieces in. This is my 7-foot one. I'm gonna put this first, and then I'm gonna move on to my 6-foot tall backdrop. This is 7 foot by 4 feet wide. So once that is assembled, I'll put that aside, and then I'll do the same thing with my 6 foot, and then we'll put the cover on this 6 foot. So like I said, easy to assemble. The arches are already connected. They have the letters or numbers already on there, and their fabric is one of the best fabrics I've used because I've had fabric in the past. I buy from Amazon because the shipping time sometimes can take longer on Morsika. So I highly encourage you, if you need quality fabric, they have the zipper on the bottom that the Amazon one that I've purchased doesn't have. So if you need something quick, crunch for time, then you can order on Amazon. But if you need better quality that is sturdy and good fabric, and you have the time to wait for it to get there, then get these Morsika fabrics. Now I don't have it in black, which by the time this video was ended recording, I ordered the black because this took way too long. So I'm putting my regular black drape on this. Thank God it was long enough to cover the front and most of the back, so it worked out fine, but it was just more work. And get back with you. I don't have a black backdrop, so we're just gonna pin this one just to create the theme I have in mind. Then I'll show you guys how I set up the rest. I'll show you the back, how I pin it. Okay, we have the two backdrops. You can kind of see the holes through there, but I'm not too worried about that today. I'll cover that up tomorrow when I have more safety pins. But this is one of my drapes from my pipe and drape kit. It's long enough that I can drape over and have it go up to here, and I still have enough on the bottom. So what I did with on this side, I put safety pins so you can still see the safety pins because I'm going to use those to attach the balloons. Then it goes through here to hold the fabric that's on the back, as you can see. And with this one, I pulled the piece that was hanging from the top here all the way down to cover. The more safety pins you have, the better, because it'll be all nice and tight and firm. So this is the gap you're seeing at the front. I just need to cover it, kind of double it. Same, you're seeing this hole at the front. I'm just gonna do this and cover it so it'll be doubled. But I'll do that tomorrow. So then this bottom part, we're just going to fold it in. Now for this side, I'm not going through the fabric to the front. I'm just securing it here, and that's it. So these are not going to the front. So only the ones on this side, you can see at the front, this side, no. So now I'm going to, and you can see that gap, which is what I'm going to cover like that. So now we just need to pull and adjust each piece. Then let's attach the balloons and we'll straighten everything up, because when we put the balloons, it'll unravel more. So let's put the balloons first. We have some balloons from a previous event, so I'm just going to inflate some of the purple to add to it. We're starting with our 5-inch balloons. I'm just creating pairs, as you can see, and 2 pairs will form a quad. So these are going to be the filler balloons that we use for the backdrop when we're done with them. Now with these, you want to inflate and compress a little bit so it's not oval shape. It's going to be the same technique for the bigger ones. These are a little easier because they don't inflate as big. But once you have all of this inflated, then we move on to our bigger balloons. Now these balloons that I use at the end, I'm gonna spray some balloon shine. I'll show you guys the one I use if you guys want to purchase. I really liked how it turned out with that, especially the smell was a big one for me. With the bigger balloons, you're inflating the 11-inch and the 17 or 18-inch or 16-inch balloons, sorry. So 11 and 16-inch balloons together, and you're gonna tie the pairs together. Once we're done inflating all of these, I'm actually doing 2 16 and 4 11-inch balloons for this one because I don't want it to be too thick. I'm matching the previous balloons I have. So we're done inflating those. Now we're going to assemble them. With these, I'm twisting 3 pairs to form a cluster of balloons, and you have 3 right there, attaching it to my orange balloon. It is orange, it just looks kind of like a golden yellow on camera. But so I'm gonna alternate this pattern. I usually have to figure out how I want with the colors to lay in on the balloon garland, which design I like the best. So I decided to put the yellow in between, or the orange in between the black and the purple. I thought that worked out well. So adding some clusters here to just fill everything in, and I'm gonna keep alternating till I have my full garland in place. Then I can attach it to the backdrop. But it's easier for me to just build the garland when I have a shorter garland to work with. Then I can just add it to the backdrop and it's a lot easier. If I'm working on grass, most of the time I'll do a shorter garland, put it, and then start adding onto the garland, onto the backdrop, sorry. So we're finishing up this piece. Once we're done, we're going to use 260 Qs to just attach. Remember, I showed you all the pins that were on there. We're going to tie that onto those pins. I'm fixing the back part of the pins right now. Then I'm going to attach my 260 Q to the front piece so that we can have a loop to attach the full garland onto that. You can decide how many of these you need. Because this is just a mock-up, I'm just gonna put 2 or 3 or 4 of them on the backdrop. If I was designing this for someone, a paid client, then I would just put a few more just to keep it secure, especially if it's going outside. You know, kids sometimes like pushing balloons and you deal with the wind and just different things. But for this purpose, we're just gonna attach at a few points. I think I did 3. And now we can attach our garland once everything is in place. So garland going on, I have the loop, so it's just going to go through the 11-inch balloons and stay in place like so. Then we make adjustments at the top to make sure it's arched over. Then we attach to the top as well. So that part is connected. Then you can see our garland is pretty much done. You just make adjustments, step back, look at it, and make sure you're happy with the design. Now we put this heavy duty clip. These were not big enough, but I kind of forced it to make it work. We need bigger clips to attach, so we can just hook our bow onto that. The bow already had the zip tie in the back, so I'm just gonna slide that on. I wasn't paying attention, so the clip slipped over, so I have to replace, make sure it's tight. Like I said, I'll need a bigger clip for this pole next time. If I'm using my wooden backdrop, it would work just fine because the wooden backdrop is a lot thinner. So that is what we have. Now we're gonna move on to just finishing touches, our design, just making the balloon shine, and I'll show you that soon. I'll bring safety pins in the morning and pin the bow so I can take a picture for the thumbnail. Of course, you can put your own writing on the backdrop, whether on this black or the pink. This is more for a beautiful design, Halloween / baby shower type design. So again, if this is your first time watching, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the like button so you don't miss any of the tutorials. Like I said, to finish off, we're just gonna pin. As you saw me try to arrange it, I'll just pin it from the inside so the safety pins don't show. Let me show you how I did the back. I nearly forgot about that. So I took the end of a 260 balloon here and connected it to this piece here. See, I'm pulling this so that it covers that gap that you saw at the front, the little hole. Same thing down here, safety pin connected to that end. This stretches out the fabric. Sorry, I have a lot going on here, and makes it look straight. This is what we have. Again, like I said, I'm going to straighten this out and then we will be done. I'll show you tomorrow. Definitely smells a lot better than the other one. But it was a sample, see? I'll look more into it and link it below. All done.